Welcome to our live show. My name is David Orban, and I am Managing Advisor of Beyond Enterprises. We are streaming live simultaneously on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And you can interact with us asking questions and making remarks, and we will be able to pick the interesting ones, especially the ones where the question ends with a question mark, actually. And I invite you to do so. Be short, concise, relevant, on topic, and we will be very happy to make this session as interactive as possible. Today's guest is Tudor Stomff. Tudor is the founder and CEO of HYVE, and the discussion, as always, will be about what is exciting and what is relevant, what is solid, delivering clear value in the world of blockchain, where teams that are passionate and talented and really dedicated to their missions are busy building all over the world new solutions to challenges that we are facing, whether we are doing so in our lives as individuals or we are seeing these challenges in our communities, in our businesses, or as it is definitely the case as well in society at large. So welcome, Tudor, to this show. I am looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you for having me. It's really great.
So I do like to start asking my guests to tell me a little bit about themselves, the trajectory. How did they arrive to the point there where they are today?
Sure thing. So I've actually been passionate about technology and development for a pretty long time now. It's been over 10 years. I first started doing startups almost 9 years ago. And a little bit after that, I actually joined blockchain around 2013. So after, mining a little bit for a while as a one-man operation and stuff, eventually we started getting into blockchain coding. And in 2017, we launched what was called Bounty Hive, which was a micro-tasking platform specifically aimed at people running ICOs so that they could reward the members of their community for doing specific tasks, like sharing something on Twitter or writing an article, doing a video, making a translation of a white paper and stuff like that. And so from Bounty Hive, we were able to gauge the interest of people who were, very excited about being able to do tasks that would reward them in crypto. And so we realized that people need a much more generalistic version of that. So we set out to build Hive. And a couple of years later, here we are, we're basically right around the corner of launching Hive, which is a generalistic collaboration platform that allows both people and robots to actually work together through a lot of different mechanisms. Like they can do jobs, they can do offers like on Fiverr, they can do simple tasks, and they can even organize competitions. So that's in short the story, pretty much. As for my background, I'm an electrical engineer theoretically, but I'm mostly a developer, to be honest. Like that's what I spent most of my time doing. Yeah.
And you and your team are based in Bucharest, Romania, at least many of them. There are others that in other locations. It was interesting for me to realize, as we discussed, that yes, blockchain and other online platforms today allows global collaboration across continents and time zones, but you chose to have a more intimate and close relationship with a loyal team of professionals that help you. How do you see the complementarity of teams that are completely decentralized versus teams that, as yours, are still choosing to be in an office together?
Well, the idea is we did try to run a decentralized team when we had Bounty Hive. So we scaled up to 40 people, and we had never met in real life, like probably 80-90% of the whole team. So we were like spread all over the globe. So it's not like it's not doable. It's just that for some very specific things, being able to actually share the same office space and, throw around ideas from one to the other is actually incredibly helpful in being able to build a robust platform. And so that's why we chose a mixed approach, if you want. So we do have people all over the place, but we do have the core team in one single office so that we can actually brainstorm and try to build a platform that's as good as it could be.
And it is wonderful to have the ability to make that choice, as well as reevaluate it and maybe discover that someone is really a crucial contributor. But no, they do not want to relocate to Bucharest, Romania. They are fine wherever they are. And you still have the tools to coordinate and to do really, really good work. I actually would offer a recommendation, and you're welcome to follow it or not. Rather than talking about real life and virtual life, I prefer to use physical life and digital life. You said, the team at Bounty Hive was 40 people and we never met in real life. Well, you were living a real life, but in the digital space, right? And the reason is because still too many people feel that digital is not real, even though it is impacting them in every minute of their lives, whether on their mobile phones or platforms of various kinds. Now, in the Hive website that I invite the people following our stream to check out on the URL hive.works, and Hive with a Y. I am showing it on overlay right now. You are saying that hiring is broken. Why is hiring broken? What would you highlight about this brokenness of hiring?
Okay, sure. So I'll just focus on some of the main things, but there's a lot of things which are actually broken with the process today. Just to start, like realistically, we've built so much technology and tried to advance various industries, and yet we didn't really focus so much on advancing the way that we work together, considering that is the main differentiator between us and any other species on the planet. So that's also why we think it's really important. So the first thing that's broken is the incredibly high fees. Most of them are like 20% for a platform. And in addition to that, you have to add, PayPal fees, withdrawing to your card fees and all that stuff. So in the end, the actual freelancers end up losing, a quarter of all that they earn. The second thing which is broken is the fact that the settlements themselves take a very long time. So if, for example, I need to get a job today because I need the money today and I'm able to complete that task today, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get that money today. At best, I'm probably going to get it after a week. The third thing, which is really important, is that disputes are done in a very centralized manner. So if, for example, Upwork decides at some point that your account should be banned because some centralized authority decided so, it's just going to get banned. And even if you Google this, you'll find, dozens and hundreds of people who have had their Upwork accounts frozen with money in them that they've earned from actually solving tasks. And they had to go, through the trouble of talking and negotiating with support for months and months on end. So those are just three of the main things. But even if we leave all of that aside, Hive does bring, a lot of innovation to the space. Even the name itself, the Hive name comes from one of the features we have, which allows people to actually create organizations that are self-governed. So you can create like a decentralized team.
Let me stop you for a moment, and definitely we will soon go into talking about the features and the advantages of Hive. But before we do that, you listed a lot of interesting challenges. In particular, you named one of the platforms that are popular among freelancers. There are also platforms that are geared towards finding full-time jobs rather than freelance jobs. Do you feel those platforms are doing a good job, or you believe those are also less than up to the challenges of today?
I think they're definitely doing a better job, at least. But they still have the same problems. The high fees are present on most of those platforms. If it's not fees, then you have to pay insane advertisement amounts as a company to even find people. And leaving that aside, they do not actually offer a circumstance for an employee and an employer to work with one another in a safe environment. So they don't have anything like escrow or being able to get a third party that's not involved in the process to actually debate who is right and wrong. Yeah.
You mean that when the marketplace ends its function of the matching between offer and demand, it washes its hands of every other responsibility that falls completely on, for example, the organization, the corporation in this case, when we talk about a full-time job. Now, there are some pretty large numbers on the Hive website in terms of the market size and the opportunity, because the fact that this process is broken means that there is an incredibly large amount of inefficiency and value really mispriced and misplaced, wasted. So how do you characterize, what is the size of the market opportunity here?
Well, the size of the market opportunity realistically is over $1 trillion a year, because especially after COVID, so many people have lost their jobs and so many people have turned towards this sharing economy. Like, a lot of people are nowadays doing Uber or, Bolt, or they do DoorDash delivery and stuff like that. And these are some of the examples that work really great. But there are so many other people who have specific skills, like a welder or somebody who builds houses, who were not able to, actually make use of those skills, because these platforms like Uber and Foodpanda, they're targeted at a very specific thing. They're basically niche platforms. And so if you look at the opportunity as people who would be, available to actually do a job for somebody, regardless of if they meet or not, as long as the skills they possess are sufficient, is incredibly large. It's probably over 20-30% of everybody who works today. And so that's a really big pool you can disrupt if you do the correct things.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, whether we look at one potential or existing competitor to Hive or 100 others, their very existence is a partial proof to how important the opportunity is, exactly because the market is extremely fragmented. Yeah. And whether it is Hive or someone else, to be able to consolidate some of this market, to introduce efficiencies that come not only from the scale, but also from the new tools and features, some of which we will mention for sure, are going to provide immense value, both to the participants in this marketplace, as well as to those who are traditionally speaking, the owners of a company, but in a
Correct.
more modern and more current expression, the participants who are using or holding, in our case, the tokens that are active on a network and on a platform. Now, Anushka is giving us high five twice with 4 hands. And Niaz is saying hi, David and Tudor. And hi, Anushka. Hi, Niaz. Thank you for saying hello. Feel free to ask questions. If I'm not mistaken, Tudor, a colleague, is also monitoring one of the platforms that is not directly connected, Telegram, where Hive has thousands of people following. So there may be questions coming from that source as well. An important remark to everyone following us. Today, we are not going to talk about the price of the token. Why is it going up? Why is it going down? Because that should be, ideally, a consequence of the token's use. And that is what we want to talk about. How Hive, the platform, is going to create value to the participants, and how the participants are going to be able to use the token in order to receive this value. And so let's start, Tudor, to talk about what are the features and the benefits of each of those features on the Hive platform as you started mentioning them.
Okay, sure. So the first thing is, as you were saying a few minutes ago, the current market is very fragmented. So if you want to do an offer, you have to go on Fiverr. If you want to have a task, you need to go on Upwork. If you want to participate in a competition, you go to 99 Designs. If you want a job, you go to Indeed. So it's very, very fragmented. On Hive, you can do all of that. It doesn't matter. You can both be a freelancer and somebody who posts tasks. You can even be an agent, so somebody that recommends people to solve tasks and then earn a percentage of that task value. In addition to that, we have very specific features that don't exist anywhere else, such as the Hives. Hives are basically a self-governed organization. So the two of us could make a Hive, and we would then be able to solve tasks together. And, if it was a development company, I could do the programming side of things and you could handle the design. And then we would just simply go and solve tasks together. We could even make an offer. As we go along, in a couple of months, maybe we grow. And so we want to hire somebody. So we just hire a new developer. Then over time, we find somebody we really like. And so we add him to the Hive and give him some shares of the Hive. So we are always able to take votes. Let's say that in 2 years from now, maybe I need to take something, I need to take care of some things in my life, and I'm not able to be as involved anymore. And so I'm going to just have less shares of the Hive because I cannot be as involved. So we just take a vote to do that. Now, in addition to that, we also have the Hive protocol, which does 2 very specific things. The first one is, as long as a task can be objectifiably measured, such as downloading an application, signing up on something, doing a specific task within an application, all of that becomes self-verifiable by design. The second thing it does is it allows robots to work together. So 2 drones could basically create a Hive, and then they could make a delivery that is over their individual autonomy. So instead of having a 5-kilometer autonomy, now they have a 10-kilometer autonomy if it's only 2 drones, right? And then they split the revenue between them, obviously. So those are the 2 main things that we do. But in addition to all of that, as opposed to not even freelancing platforms, but any other platform as of right now, Hive is completely based off of game theory, which means that 100% of the fees generated by the platform actually go back into the ecosystem through various different mechanisms. One of them is staking, so if people decides to stake their Hive tokens, they're entitled to 50% of the fee revenue that the platform takes. The other one is the vault, where half of the fees actually become individual items that people can bid on. The second highest bidder is the winner, and all of the bids are anonymous. So the Hive that is paid for the bids, half of that is burned, and the other half becomes the actual treasury of the platform itself. Also, when you, for example, choose to pay the task fee in Hive, not only is it lower, it's actually half, but that fee itself is burned. And if you reward the entire task in Hive, then you don't even pay a fee at all. So yeah, the token itself, as you're showing on the screen, can be used for a lot of stuff, including governance, curation of tasks, paying for dispute resolution, staking it, but participating in the vault. And there's actually a couple of features that we've included which are not yet reflected on the website.
So you are describing what in the blockchain and crypto world is called the tokenomics.
Correct.
How the economy of the network employs the token and distributes value to the various participants, and how the dynamics in the smart contracts that can mint or burn tokens play the role of faucets or sinks for the tokens can become the basis for this kind of participation. And of course, during the years, as we were learning, all of us together, about the possibilities of of what blockchain and smart contracts offered, all of these things became more and more sophisticated. Now, would you say that it is necessary to be a crypto expert in order to take advantage of Hive, or someone who really just wants to find a freelance job because they are a graphics designer can still use Hive even if they are not a crypto expert?
Not at all, actually. So, I mean, obviously, okay, maybe you need to have heard of what crypto is in general, right? Like at least once in your life. But that's pretty much about it, because, first of all, we've built the whole platform with ease of use in mind. It's not necessarily aimed at just crypto native people, but rather at anybody who needs a job. And so because of that, the platform doesn't contain, a lot of unnecessary technical information. What that means is, if you want to get into it, you can, but you are not forced to do so. And so, to give a simple example, to actually use to use a normal decentralized application, you need to set up a wallet, keep the private key, keep it safe, keep the seed phrase and everything else. Whereas if you want to sign up on Hive, you just choose a username and the password, and that's it. That's the end of the story. You can just use Hive. This isn't really, it doesn't exist on other platforms because we had to build it from the ground up in order to function that way. Actually, 2 weeks ago, like the Ethereum Foundation offered a grant for anybody who would be willing to build that. But we're not going to participate in it because we built it for ourselves.
Ed from YouTube is asking, can you describe the process of using the platform? Now, I know that you prepared some screen shots that we will see, and this is the first time that the world is going to see the Hive platform. I promised you that when the platform is launched, if there were any differences between how it looks like now and how it will look like at the launch, no one following the video today would complain. So I invite our viewers to take note. I shall not complain. Because Tudor trusts me that is going to be the case. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen, and we will be able to answer Ed's question and show him some of the functionality as it is going to be available. You don't have two monitors, so of course you only see one screen, but that is fine. I can confirm that we are now seeing both the screen and your camera, so you are not free to make any ugly faces, but you are welcome to start illustrating what we are seeing here.
Okay, sure. So you can actually see my pointer, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So basically, when you log in, and you can actually see the screen without logging in as well. But, when you're going to start clicking on things, that's when you're actually going to have to log in, because otherwise you cannot, interact with the platform itself. So this is, one of the ways that a listing actually looks like. So if you have the filters open, where you can select, different types of filters that you want to look for, this is what you see. So in the middle, we can see various tasks. This is set on all. So if you only want to see tasks or jobs or offers or contests, you'd have to select that. And here you have the big create button, which, obviously allows you to create any sort of task or job that you'd like to have people solve for you. On the right, there's like some news and some sponsored jobs, for example, and sponsored contests. So anybody who wants to, promote the job that they've posted so they get more people to sign up can actually do so. We'll give more information on that a bit later. So in here, you have just some general information, like when is it posted, where is it actually taking place, whether it's remote or not, the actually estimated time, how much you'll get paid. This is, the example uses a job for the example. So it's not a task or a contest. Those would look very slightly different. So the two buttons, you have a button to actually message people, one to save the task to watch it later. And when you click on expand, obviously it opens the actual task. So I'm going to go down. This is what happens when you put the filters back. So you can actually see more tasks on the screen. These are your messages. So if you just want to message somebody, you just open this and then you can send a message to somebody to talk to them. So this is how you actually, scroll through the screens. So let me show you what happens when you create a screen, like when you create a job, I mean. 1 second. So in here, we're actually looking at creating an offer, right? So you have to select the title, you have to select the description, the skills that you actually have that you're offering, the location where you're at, whether the approval is open or closed. So this is an offer. That means it's like on Fiverr. So I'm offering this service and people can buy it from me. So if it's open, anybody can just decide to buy my offer and then I'm going to have to complete that. Whether if it's closed, they will basically submit an application to buy one of my offers and I'm going to decide whether I want to accept it or not. So here are the currencies, like in what do I want to be paid in for the offer. If I want to pay the commission in Hive, then, I only pay half of the fee. I select, exactly which currencies I want to be paid in. This is the selection of the display. So if I select here the USDT, then my offer is, valued in USDT, but people can pay me with like BTC and DTH if they want to. So in here, I can select, exactly what my offer would contain, how many packages I have. I can add, a new package in here and then scroll through them. So here I add the actual name of the, feature that I'm offering for each individual package. And then for the specific packages, I will select whether it's included or not and how many of those features are actually included in this package. So after that, I can add my portfolio, which I'm going to show you a bit later. And that's pretty much it. Then you can save it as a draft if you don't want to complete it now, or just publish it directly, right? And so now we can see how a job actually looks like. We have several examples here, so let me just zoom in. So this is how a job looks like, right? You can flag it for curators. You see some basic information. You can share it with friends or invite people to see it. You can save it and you can message the task poster. Now here you have several tabs. The About tab is basically the information about the job. Then you have the reviews, which are a bit below. 1 second. here are the reviews. So what people said about the company or the individual who has posted this task, because maybe in the past they have posted other tasks. You can also give feedback or report the review if it's not actually true, and then you'll have a dispute to decide. This is how an offer looks like, where you have the about information. So this is the person who's actually making the offer. You have a small screen where you can see it, in a basically trial version, like what are the offers I'm offering, the standard pack, the business pack, and the premium pack. Then you have the actual displayed packages, right? So you can see all of them and exactly what they include. We can now see, when we were creating it, we had to select like logo, transparency, high resolution, and everything else. And here we select whether it's included or not and how many we offer. So if it's revisions, we offer a fixed number of revisions, right? This is the portfolio, so I can show people what I have done in the past so they can get a good idea of what I'm able to do for them. If you click on this, let's say the beauty packaging branding, then it's going to open up the album, because those are albums. And so after I've opened the album, if I click on one of the pictures, it's just going to open it up entirely, right? This is the reviews for the offers. And this is how the More tab looks like. So in the More tab, you can actually see other things that individual or company has posted in the past. Because maybe you see they have a job for a senior Node.js developer, but you're a developer, but not a Node.js one. Maybe you are a React developer, and you're thinking perhaps they need that too. So if they do, you can see it in here and just go directly to the task. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for now. Like, this is what we're going to show today. I mean, yeah.
Wonderful. And I am sure that Ed, as well as the others who are following, are excited to have seen it. But of course, their question is, when is the platform going to be live? Now, you are allowed to be vague about it, because this is software and release schedules are never completely precise. But
Sure.
You have been working on it for a long time, and you said we are close to the launch of the Hive platform.
It's mid-October. So in mid-October, people will be able to actually post tasks, solve them, and everything else. Yeah.
Very good. Very interesting. There is another question, actually, from Telegram. Aliza says that Keith on Telegram asked, why isn't the API library decentralized?
Not decentralized, I think.
Yes, why it is not decentralized?
Sure. So, I mean, first of all, it doesn't mean it will never be decentralized. It's just that for now, it's simply more efficient and a better idea to have it that way. There are several reasons for that. So first of all,
let's define for our viewers what is the API library and give a couple of examples of how it could be used.
Okay, sure. So Hive is actually an open ecosystem. So in addition to what we've built, because we had to, actually build so much infrastructure to make this whole thing work, we realized that anybody else who would like to build a service platform or a marketplace, so things like Uber, Airbnb, DoorDash, stuff like that, they would have to build the exact same infrastructure. And so instead of having them do that, we decided to make our own infrastructure open and let them use our infrastructure. And so they can do that through the API library. So somebody could, they can even do a niche task platform. Let's say I want to build a niche platform for people who solve tasks to train AIs. And so I offer them something extra, which is a tool to actually do that in a more efficient way. But then I don't want to build a whole infrastructure of escrow, disputes, posting the task, storing it on the blockchain, and everything else. So instead, I just send this to the Hive protocol, to the API library, right, through the API library. And then it gets posted on chain, and I get an extra fee as the owner of the niche platform. And that's the end of the story. Now, the reason why it's not decentralized is because some of the features inside of Hive in the first version are centralized themselves. Because otherwise, people would end up paying insane fees for various things, such as storing a file on IPFS, which is, it can add up very quickly. Because if you're a company that wants to post 100 tasks or 100 jobs, and for each one of them, you have a file that describes the requirements and an NDA that people have to sign, all of a sudden you're uploading 200 documents. And so that can, turn into an expense really quickly. This does not mean in any way we're not going to become fully decentralized, but it is a process, and we're doing that step by step. And even leaving that aside, more than half of Hive is decentralized even from day one. So it's not like, it's just a small part of it.
I think that it is an important example of how practical projects that want to deliver a platform that people can use have to make decisions about what is possible today versus what ideally one would want and what may be possible in another 10 years. And this is not the first time we are seeing it. When web video was born, well, it was very pixelated. It was kind of painful, but a lot of people see value in being able and use it anyway. Today, we are streaming high definition or even ultra high definition video in millions of places over the internet infrastructure. And it is really a dream come true for those who could see that future. However, the people who did build that future are not the ones that wanted to be true to the ideal and were afraid to take a single step because that ideal couldn't be immediately realized. The people who built that future are the ones who were realistic and step by step delivered what was possible at any given time. So it is similarly what is being done by Hive and other platforms that want people to be able to use them as soon as possible. And that is the answer to Keith about the centralization of the API as it is right now. Can you give some of the core things that you immediately decentralized and why? I would assume, for example, the relationships between people and how the dispute resolution mechanism works, right? Those are innovations that only blockchain made possible. So why don't you talk about it a bit?
Sure. So we basically decentralized everything that was, necessary to be decentralized. So obviously dispute resolution is one of that, because if we just had another centralized authority deciding, then, it would have pretty much, killed the purpose. Whereas if you have jurors that are selected in a random fashion through demarchy, then you actually get fairness for people. So then the second thing we decentralized is the fact that you can escrow things. So when you post a task, you put the money in escrow, and then the escrow itself is going to decide what happens. So when the actual employee you hire finishes his job, if you think he's done a correct job, then he just gets the money out of the escrow, so he knows he's safe. And if you don't think he's done a correct job, then you can just open a dispute and provide evidence as to why he didn't do a good job. And then some jurors are going to come and decide which one of the two parties is right. In addition to that, the tasks themselves do get posted on chain. So they do exist on chain. We just don't store 100% of the information inside of the task on chain. So for example, as I've said previously, for documents, the documents itself themselves would be stored in a centralized fashion, and then we would be storing the link to the document itself on chain. So that's an example. You can also sign agreements. So the actual signing of the agreement is not, decentralized, but once you've signed the agreement and uploaded it somewhere, besides the fact that we generate a hash that proves, cryptographically that it was signed by you and nobody else, we upload the link to that on chain, and then people can check it. They can check the hash and see that it was signed by the two people who claim to have signed it. So yeah, also the hives themselves, they are actually fully blockchain because you need to be able to take decisions. So you need to have governance. So we pretty much did on blockchain everything we could. The staking itself, the fees that you pay, the vault. Yeah, I mean, there's more things which are decentralized than those that aren't, basically.
So I am very happy that we were able to show this sneak peek to our viewers, a real benefit of having been alert and caught the possibility of this live streaming video. We have a question from Konstantin. Any pre-launch registration, he says. Absolutely. You can go to hive.work, put your email in the field, and Tudor, I think you will confirm, Konstantin as well as everyone else doing that will be alerted as soon as the wait list opens, because I would assume, as every self-respecting software project about to be launched, you will open a wait list to create the buzz and to invite people sending their friends in order to be farther along in the wait list around mid-October, as we said. Very, very exciting. You mentioned a couple of times, and I was very eager to latch on to that, but I resisted. But this is the time to do so. You mentioned drones, machines, and I don't know if you said the word, but I will say robots working on the platform. And the reason we can and we should say robots is, of course, because of the announcement by Tesla that they will be also jumping into the humanoid robot race, and there is so much that we could say about it. I'm trying to fish out the images that were shared about this, because, well, it is a prototype, and even for the prototype, sorry, it's the image of a prototype. Even the prototype doesn't exist yet. They say they will release it next year. Maybe not. Maybe it will take another 2 years, or who knows how much. But Tesla, as well as SpaceX and other ventures that Elon Musk built, have demonstrated in the past to be able to prove skeptics wrong. Maybe they were a bit late, but for example, they built a very, very popular electric car that is a robot on wheels. And they built also a rocket that could land by itself and then be refueled and launched again. And now they did it dozens and dozens of times. And this was something also that experts said couldn't be done. Now, we'll see. And we will see how soon these robots will come, but it will fundamentally change the world of work. It sounds like, whether you are talking about drones or machines in the abstract or robots that may or may not be humanoid, that you designed Hive to be ready already for that kind of world. So first, tell me, why is Hive ready, and how will Hive play a role And then the second question is going to be, what will be the place of people?
Sure. So, wow, those are loaded questions. I'm gonna have to talk for a bit. So, first of all, Hive is ready because of the protocol. So the protocol actually allows robots, AI agents, however you want to call them, to communicate and collaborate with one another. So the simplest example to exemplify that is they can create triggers for each other that would then turn into specific actions, right? Let's say Amazon bots that work inside of the warehouse. So one of the bots could make a trigger, like one of the bots that carries boxes could make a trigger for one of the bots that opens boxes, that whenever I deliver a box to you, you need to open the box. And then the bot that opens boxes does the same with the bot that, actually handles the distribution of the things inside of the box, etc. So this is why Hive is, primed for that. Second of all, before we even get to robots, there's going to be AI agents. So as we know, AI agents actually learn through repetition and iterations. So an agent could go on Hive and create a task that people solve for it so that it could learn from that. And then you can have 5 iterations of the same agent, and each one of the agents would then make a different task and see exactly which one of those is, most efficient, which one of the agents has learned most from that actual task, right? The idea is robots are designed by, definition to actually solve a task in an autonomous fashion. The problem with that comes from the fact that it's just a process automation. So you have a bot solving a very specific task. When you're talking about systems automation, so having multiple bots, multiple agents work together in a collaborative fashion, the story is a bit more complicated. And so that's where Hive protocol comes in. As for the question regarding, what will happen to people, that is one of the main reasons why Hive is built entirely upon game theory. Now, because the Hive holders can actually stake their tokens and take a part of the fees, even if by, let's assume in absurdity that every job on Hive would be posted and solved by robots. Just by paying the necessary fees, to actually interact with each other, they would create the equivalent of some sort of universal basic income for all of the people on Hive. So it wouldn't really hurt them in any way, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
So that is very interesting, and it will be worth to explore, as I'm sure you are already doing. How does Hive? How is Hive positioned among others who are going in a similar direction? It is possible, and I'm sure you are ambitious enough to try to become a monopoly in the ecosystem. But assuming that is not going to be the case, either because some other projects are also ambitious and successful, or because, as it is, in my opinion, natural in the world of blockchain, business models and networks of participation are much more permeable than not in the world of old corporations, where you could erect walls and you could aim for monopolistic practices. Well, the macroeconomic policy implications of what you are saying are pretty important. Basically, what you are saying is we don't even need to tax the robots, as is now being proposed by many people from Bill Gates down. What we need is to enable the robots to create value where the value is accruing to the network and human participants in the network inherit naturally that value through the token and the tokenomics that we mentioned before.
That's exactly right. And people can follow the model. So just because Hive is the first platform and the only platform for now who uses this model, that does not mean it's going to be the only one forever. We very much, would be very happy to see people use the same model. That is the only sustainable model in the long term when you take into account automation and everything that's happening in the world. And so if that is implemented, then all of a sudden it's not a problem anymore, because yes, humans can just benefit from the added value that robots bring to society. They do not need to be an enemy of society and people. They can be a very, very good ally. And so humans could then focus on, art and learning things and discovering things instead of doing menial tasks, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
So a community of thousands of people are on Telegram in the Telegram group Hive Works that I am now displaying. And anyone who is interested in getting more into the details of these topics and the implications of the Hive protocol can join the Telegram group. I am sure there will be plenty of conversations around when Moon, when Lambo, but the other people who join and have this kind of conversations around robots and networks of value and universal basic income, the future of work, can elevate the tone of the conversation. So, Tudor, thank you very much for being our guest today. Good luck with the launch in a little more than a month and a half of the Hive platform. And I am looking forward to having you with us in the future to give us updates about exciting new developments at Hive.
Thank you for having me. It was great talking to you today about Hive.
Thank you, everyone, for participating. We will be back with new guests, with new analysis, hopefully with insights that you appreciate and you value. If that is the case, I invite you to subscribe to our various channels on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. And I am also eager, of course, to hear about your needs and your projects. At Beyond Enterprises, we offer solutions for blockchain projects, helping them succeed. As a matter of fact, over the course of the past 4 years, the combined market value of the projects that we supported went from zero to what is, as of August 2021, over $14 billion. We do realize that there are a lot of challenges and complexity in designing, implementing, and launching a blockchain project. It is not a coincidence, because what used to be a 10-year process today can happen literally over the course of 6 months. And as a consequence, what used to be an environment where little by little a startup could learn from its own mistakes what they needed to do, now has to be done much more rapidly and in a robust manner. There are many projects that have been able to be very successful, and we are proud of having helped them through what is strategic advisory, technical leadership, and support across activities that cannot be taken for granted must be addressed in a manner that is knowledgeable and based on real experience, whether it is marketing, tokenomics, development, or the strategic positioning of the project. Together with the founder of Beyond Enterprises, Brad Yassar, my colleague Frank Frausto, our Chief Marketing Officer, as well as the rest of our team, I absolutely welcome your inquiries, and I'm looking forward to analyze your needs and helping you succeed in the world of blockchain. Thank you very much again, and I will see you at our next show, our next meeting with new guests.